welcome into Boston. Big one for you tonight. The top team in the East, the top team in the West. This game sells itself. It's the Celtics.
What happens when the best defense meets the best offense? Well, that is exactly what happened when defense kings Minnesota Timberwolves got matched up against the offensive killers Boston Celtics. Let's get into it. The NBA season always brings exciting matchups, but few generate as much anticipation as when the league's top offense faces off against the best defense. This was exactly what happened when the Boston Celtics, known for their brilliant defense, took on the Minnesota Timberwolves and their shield of titanium. Heading into the game, the Celtics were averaging a huge 126 points per 100 possessions. To give context, this is a rate that would clearly shatter the existing offensive records if it continues for an entire season. The Timberwolves, meanwhile, were allowing just under 103 points per game, and fans were quick to remind of the dominant 2016 San Antonio Spurs team that won 67 games. While it is still early in the season, these trends set the stage for a brilliant show-off between two huge giants. The Celtics started with a double-big lineup featuring Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis, intended to create mismatches and spacing issues for the Timberwolves' defense. Minnesota countered this attack with the big dogs Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. What this created was an unusual dynamic where four traditional big men were on the court simultaneously. Even though this is something common in older games, such gameplay using all tall players is a rarity in today's perimeter-oriented NBA. Boston's initial strategy involved using Porzingis to guard Minnesota's small forward, Jaden McDaniels. This allowed Porzingis to roam and protect the rim while essentially pushing McDaniels to beat them from the outside. It easily proved effective early on as McDaniels struggled with his shot and was going just 2 for 10 in the first half. This strategic gambit by the Celtics indeed was a show to the viewers to remind them that they had come prepared for anything and everything as well. What about the other side? They used creative cross matches, with point guard Jrue Holiday defending Karl Anthony Towns and Jaylen Brown guarding Rudy Gobert. This approach indeed pushed back some of Minnesota's typical offensive actions and forced them to adjust on the go. The Celtics' ability to switch and defend multiple positions allowed them to easily cut through the Timberwolves' offensive flow during the initial phases itself. But as the game went on a little, Anthony Edwards turned out to be a bright spot for Minnesota's offense. He started the game on fire after scoring 11 points on perfect shooting in the first quarter. Edwards' ability to create his own shots and finish through contact kept the Timberwolves afloat, while the rest of the team struggled to find their rhythm against Boston's defense. Yet again, the Timberwolves' defense was simply busy proving themselves why they had the name of masters of defense. This was anchored by Gobert's huge presence at the rim, forcing the Celtics to alter their offensive approach. His ability to contest shots and defense some great drives to the basket was evident throughout the game. The Timberwolves clearly mixed up their defensive schemes, employing so much coordination and timely switches to keep the Celtics' offense at check. If it were some other middle-of-the-table teams, they would have easily crumbled. What usually happens is that a team comes to the match with a certain kind of fixed play in mind, and they move accordingly. This is one of the reasons why the majority of the middle field teams do not surprise at times as well. But the Celtics and Timberwolves clearly are top of their games. As the game progressed, both teams were quick to make strategic adjustments. The Timberwolves began using Naz Reid to guard Porzingis on the perimeter, allowing Gobert to play a more traditional rim-protecting role. This adjustment helped Minnesota tighten up their defense and limit Boston's scoring opportunities. Such a quick and effective move, right? The Celtics, meanwhile, continued to attack mismatches and push the pace of the general gameplay. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown took turns trying to break down Minnesota's defense while they were putting up a show of their individual brilliance. Again, such a strong offense would have been enough to tear through any other teams, but not Timberwolves. Their super strong defense showed such discipline, rotating effectively and contesting shots without much fouling as well. Again, the game had so many carefully crafted movements that it almost felt like a choreographed dance. Boston's offense was also quick to rise to the tension and put up a masterclass. This came indeed with such crisp ball movement and timely three-point shooting. To watch a great team play is always fun. What they end up reminding us is the fact that the game is not just about scoring, but to see the magic that players create when they all come in the same page. As the game entered its final stages, it became clear that something had to give. The Celtics' high-powered offense was being held well below its season average, and it became clear who was having an edge of the other. The Timberwolves were finding just enough offense to keep pace, which came largely from Edwards' one-man fight and his timely contributions from few role players. The fourth player in overtime period clearly became a battle of wills. Both teams leaned heavily on their stars, with Tatum and Edwards trading baskets and defensive stops. What are the bigger players for, if not to step in when the team needed them? Even when the big names were clearly giving their all-in on the court, it only became harder till the end to find a counter to the new offense patterns and vice versa. So, what happened? Well, it was Minnesota's defense that proved to be the deciding factor. They held the Celtics to just 98 points per 100 possessions. To indulge in little more statistics, this was a staggering 28 points below their season average. This defensive masterclass, while coupled with Edwards' offensive explosion, allowed the Timberwolves to win. What is to be mentioned again is the 38 points and efficient shooting from Edward that clearly helped the team to emerge victorious in a super tight contested overtime battle. What's more dangerous is elite offense or superb defense more valuable in basketball is a repeated question. What the game did was also to put up a live show to answer the age-old question indeed. While Boston's offense had been historically good coming into the game, Minnesota's defense showed that a well-coordinated and disciplined defensive effort can still hold back even the most dangerous and venomous attacks as well. And hindsight, it is true that several key factors contributed to Minnesota's success. First and foremost was their ability to disrupt Boston's offensive flow. By mixing up defensive coverages and leveraging the unique skills of players like Gobert and Jaden McDaniels, the Timberwolves forced the Celtics out of their comfort zone. They contested shots, protected the rim, and limited easy-peasy transition opportunities as well. Another crucial element was Minnesota's offensive resilience. While their defense kept them in the game, it was the timely scoring of Edwards and others that allowed them to keep pace with Boston's periodic offensive outbursts. Edwards in particular showcased his development as a go-to scorer. Not only did he succeed in creating opportunities for himself, but he also moved the ball to his teammates when the offense bogged down. What are the key takeaways for Boston then? The game highlighted both their offensive potential and areas for improvement. While they struggled to reach their usual scoring output, they still demonstrated the ability to create mismatches and generate quality looks against the best of the best defense. However, the game also showed the importance of having counters when a defense takes away preferred options. The Celtics at times resorted to isolation basketball, which easily played into Minnesota's hands. On a much lighter note, the coaching battle that followed between Minnesota's Chris Finch and Boston's Joe Mazzulla was equally interesting. Both made strategic adjustments throughout the game, trying to gain incremental advantages. Finch's ability to maximize his team's defensive potential while finding just enough offense was particularly impressive. Even though Mazzulla was unable to unlock his team's usual offensive dominance, he still put his players in positions to succeed and kept the game competitive until the end. What are some key takeaways then? Both teams have built their rosters with specific identities in mind. The Celtics have prioritized versatile scorers and playmakers who can exploit mixed matches and space the floor. The Timberwolves, on the other hand, have invested heavily in defensive specialists and two-way players who can contribute on both ends of the court. Looking ahead, this game could serve as a blueprint for not only the teams at play, but any great team as they navigate the rest of the season. The moment any of the players or the team in general takes comfort under some performative tack such as defense superpower or offensive masterminds, their performance goes down. What is mandatory is that they keep themselves grounded and understand each game is different. Winning at the end of the day depends on that particular day's performance and performance only. Now, what do you guys think the teams should do? Do drop your views in the comment section below and we'll meet again in the next video.